All right, folks, 15 days away from the midterms. The Republican strategy is clear: suppress as many votes as possible, especially black folks. We'll break it down exactly what is happening all across the country. Also, from Donald Trump tweeting from the White House down to county election officials in Georgia, Tennessee, and all across the country, democracy clearly under attack. Again, we'll have the latest for you right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Early voting begins in some Florida counties today, but last night, Democrat Andrew Gillum, mayor of Tallahassee, destroyed former Congressman Ron DeSantis in a televised debate. We'll have some of that for you. Also, folks, there's a flat-out despicable radio ad that is running in Arkansas that says Democrats want to return to the days of black men being lynched. You'll hear a new version of the ad directed at Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill. And we'll talk to the black man behind the ads, Vernon Robinson of South Carolina. Yes, a black man. Folks, we can add gardening while black to the crimes white folks are calling the cops about. We'll talk to the man accused of being a pedophile by 3 white women for gardening. Crazy white women strike again. And also an AKA who used to work at Fort Valley State University in Georgia. She was assistant to the president. She has been charged today with pimping out her sorority sisters. What the hell? Yes, I'll explain to you exactly what is taking place. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all.
Trump is apparently worried that voter suppression efforts of the GOP are not going well enough, so he decided to weigh in with this just bundle of lies. In fact, do we even have the Trump Lies Matter stinger ready? We should. We're supposed to. Anytime Donald Trump lies and we talk about it, we're supposed to have that stinger ready. So we should have that next time, folks. Here we go. I got the tweet. I got it, guys. Calm down. All levels of government and law enforcement are watching carefully for voter fraud, including during early voting. Cheat at your own peril. Violators will be subject to maximum penalties, both civil and criminal. Now, y'all, come on. Now, we all know he lying. Again, Republicans keep fronting as if voter fraud is this major thing in America, when the fact of the matter is, you probably will get hit by lightning before you encounter voter fraud. But this is how they are able to drive the messaging. They've been doing this all across the country, Wisconsin, Georgia, Tennessee, you name it. That's why they've been pushing voter ID. That's why look, even Chris Kobach, when he had that Trump commission, they couldn't even find any proof of actual voter fraud. In fact, here's what's hilarious. He is Secretary of State of Kansas. He would not even turn over his own state data to the very commission he was the co-chair of. Goes to explain exactly what works with Republicans and voter fraud. It's a joke. They know it. We know it. But that's how they're able to gin up their base. Now, not convinced that unnecessary and burdensome voter IDs rules might not suppress the vote enough. Check this out. Now Republicans are turning to rejecting voter registration forms. In Tennessee, the Black Voter Project submitted about 36,000 voter registration forms to the Shelby County Election Commission during a push to register voters of color. Okay, Shelby County, y'all. That's where Memphis is. However, the Associated Press reported the commission categorized half the forms as invalid. And check this out. They won't tell the Tennessee Black Voter Project just what is wrong with the registrations. So today, in response, the Black Voter Project filed suit seeking a court order to release the voting records being withheld by the Elections Commission. By the way, all of this in a state that often has one of the lowest voting rates in the country. They also have some of the most restrictive voting laws. We'll keep you posted on what happens in Tennessee. Now let's go to Georgia, where there seems to be ground zero for GOP attempts to suppress the vote. The fact that Stacey Abrams, a black woman, has a good chance of upending the white patriarchy in the state is the reason. Now, of course, she's in a virtual dead heat with Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp, and it is the hundreds of thousands of black folks eligible to vote, but unregistered, that has them using every tool to make sure those citizens are denied the right to vote. Now, election officials, including Kemp, are the subject of multiple lawsuits as we speak. Now, nothing new today. No shock, there should be a new lawsuit today, except that so far no court has ordered this voter suppression tactic to be stopped. Now, but you can act by voting yourself, insisting that family and friends do their duty and vote. That, of course, is the only way to stop voter suppression. Now, early voting is already taking place in Florida at certain locations. Now, of course, we want everybody to vote early so you also are not going to get screwed on voting day. But last night, folks, in Florida, there was a debate between Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis. Yo. Now, this is real simple. This is real simple, y'all. Now, did I watch the vote? Did I watch the debate? No, because I ain't watching Jake Tapper. But the bottom line is I do follow Twitter. No, I don't watch CNN. I don't. I mean, I could do better things like watch National Geographic. So I did follow Twitter, and the bottom line is Ron DeSantis looked like a fool last night against Andrew Gillum, who was smart, who was poised, and had this uncanny ability of making DeSantis look like a complete fool. Press play.
Because my mother and father would have to get up so early in the morning to go to work, they would load us all into a car, drive us over to my grandmother's house where she would have a ritual and do two things before she'd let us cross the threshold of the door. She'd take her bottle of olive oil, also known as blessing oil, and build a cross on my forehead as a way to send us out into the day with a blessing and a covering. And then she would have this mantra where she'd say, go to school, mind your teachers, get your lesson, and one day bring that education home. She'd say, bring it home for your mama, for your daddy, who get out there and work on somebody else's job. Bring it home for your little brother and your little sister. What my grandmother was communicating to me was that it wasn't just about me. It's about all of us. And in Trump's America, we've been led to believe that we've got to step on our neighbor's shoulder, in their face, and their backs in order to get ahead. Well, I reject that. And we have an opportunity on November 6th as a collective, as a state, to say we deserve better. We want better. We want better schools, access to health care, a clean economy, a restorative justice system that works where hand in glove, the community and law enforcement work together for all of our benefit. I'm asking you all for the only thing in life that my mother ever told me to ask for, and that's a chance. I want to be your governor. Let's bring it home.
Now, that, of course, was a closing statement by Andrew Gillum, but I just love this one. When Ron DeSantis was asked about whether or not Donald Trump was a role model. Here we go to my iPad, please. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get this. Y'all, this is too funny. This was exactly what happened. Do you guys see my iPad now? All right, so we'll try to get that fixed. It should be showing up, but we have a technical issue. It's showing up on my end here. So I do want to introduce our panel right now. Of course, we have Michael Brown, of course, a former finance committee chair, DNC, Avis Jones DeWeaver, leadership strategist, Eugene Craig organization. What the hell? DeSantis looked like he didn't want to be there last night. Looked like I'm getting my butt kicked by this black man. But also, Eugene, the sign of disrespect in that DeSantis kept referring to him as Andrew, not mayor. But Gillum was referring to him as congressman, even though he resigned his post.
You know, class is class and classless is classless. I think DeSantis sees the writing on the wall. You know, he's pretty much on autopilot for the next 2 weeks or so to election day. I mean, the last poll that came out, so I think Gillum up 12 points or whatever. You don't come back from that. I mean, Gillum's pulling that whole ticket. I mean, he's pulling Nelson over Scott. He's pulling some of the congressional races that otherwise would be much more competitive than what they are.
We have the iPad now, folks. Let me go ahead and play this for y'all. So the question to DeSantis was, do you consider Donald Trump to be a role model?
Jake, my wife and I were poking a little fun at ourselves because of the way that campaign was going, and I'm proud of my family, though. I don't actually read The Art of the Deal to my son Mason. He's a great kid. He smiles at anything, but that's not necessarily his cup of tea. So here's what I know. You know, I was very passionate about moving our American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Andrew opposed that. A couple months ago, he said it was a mistake. He said we shouldn't recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Every president for 25 years has promised that on the campaign trail. Once in office, they didn't do it. Donald Trump promised it, and he followed through with it. And so to me, when you give your word and you follow through with it as an elected official, that is the model that we're supposed to do. He was right to move the embassy to Jerusalem. I was there for a historic event. I know Andrew didn't support that and doesn't think that's right, but to me, that was true leadership.
Mr. Mayor?
Confused by the question.
The question was whether or not he thinks President Trump is a good role model for the children of Florida.
That's what I thought originally. I got confused. So, no, he's not. Donald Trump is weak, and he performs as all weak people do. They become bullies.
Avis, what the hell? I mean, the question, is he a role model? You like, yeah, let's talk about Israel and the embassy.
Yeah, my child smiles at anything. That was so pitiful. First of all, I just have to say, immaculate wardrobe choice today, Roland.
Well, you know, so every Monday I'm going to wear some gear from HBCU that I've spoken to or visited. And so I decided to rock a Virginia State today. So, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as a Trojan, I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Okay,
Go finish your comment.
But yes, absolutely. That was so, he was just tap dancing around the point, because who could say that Trump is a role model for anyone? So he couldn't sit up there and say that the truth, that he isn't. So he was trying to deflect, but I'm just happy with how Mayor Gillum answered that, and that he really sort of showed at the end, hey, what was the original question? You didn't answer it at all.
I mean, look, Mike, there's a thing called deflection and pivot. I mean, he just jerked away.
I didn't, well, first I feel sorry for the folks that he represented, because the fact that he was even a member of Congress with that kind of answer was a disgrace. The fact that he couldn't think about something better to say about that question was incredible. And then obviously you see the difference with Mayor Gillum, and he answered the question, made him look like a clown, and moved on. And he has actually, frankly, conducted himself, the mayor I'm talking about, on a level of being a candidate that's remarkable in the state of Florida. I know people think that Florida is just southern Miami. You got central Miami and I-4 corridor, and then you got that panhandle. He is appealing to all kinds of voters.
But the thing is this, I think the question also should reframe, is DeSantis a role model for his own kid? I mean, I don't think, I mean, you can't, no, let's be serious here. You can't be a dad and give your kid the model of kowtowing to another man and, literally, the most sycophant way. Right. I mean, that's a real serious question. Are you a role model to your kid, and would you be a role model to the rest of the kids of Florida? And if that's how that's how you portray yourself to your kid, I don't think you're in a position to lead and be a role model to the rest of the kids of Florida. The right talks about snowflakes. We're going to raise a whole generation of snowflake men, a whole bunch of new Proud Boys,
Oh, speaking of whether you can be a role model or not, on Friday we played a radio ad running in Florida, actually running in Arkansas on black radio stations in support of a Republican congressman running for re-election. That is Congressman French Hill. Now check this ad. There's a similar one running in the very tightly contested Missouri U.S. Senate race. The incumbent Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill is running against the state Attorney General, Republican Josh Hawley. Listen.
What do you think about what's happening in Washington?
Josh Hawley and the Republicans know that it's dangerous to change the presumption of innocence to a presumption of guilt, especially for black men. If Claire McCaskill can do that to a white justice of the Supreme Court with no evidence, no corroboration, and all of her witnesses, including her best friend, say it didn't happen, what will happen to our husbands, our fathers, or our sons when a white girl lies on them?
Girl, black folk will be catching hell again.
Honey, I've always told my son, don't be messing around with that. If you get caught, she will cry rape.
I'm voting for Josh Hawley for Senate because we have to protect our men and boys. We can't afford to let Claire McCaskill take us back to the bad old days of race verdicts, life sentences, or worse, when someone screams rape.
Paid for by Black Americans for the President's Agenda. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
All right, y'all. The ad was created and paid for, as you heard, by Black Americans for the President's Agenda. And the head of that is Vernon Robinson, who joins us live on Roland Unfiltered. Vernon, welcome to the show.
Hey, Roland, how are you?
Doing great. First and foremost, I'm very curious. You talk about Josh Hawley there in Missouri there as well. Then, of course, you talk about Republican French Hill in Arkansas. So are you suggesting that Republicans are huge supporters of criminal justice reform and they want to protect black men who have been sent to prison unfairly?
Well, the president has met with Kim Kardashian, freed a woman who was convicted, got a life sentence in drug dealing, and really working with the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and Tim Scott to look at these issues and do something about criminal justice reform. But what we can't do is we can't go in the wrong direction, which is to change what we saw in the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. We change the presumption of innocence to presumption of guilt.
You didn't answer my question.
Black men will really be catching hell under that circumstance.
Vernon, you didn't answer my question. You named two people that Donald Trump has pardoned. We know for a fact that Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, the very state French Hill is from, who you are running this ad saying should be reelected, that Senator Cotton has stopped criminal justice reform for the past 5 to 6 years. He has actually said we need more people in prison. So I'm going to ask you again, show me the evidence where Republicans are leading the effort when it comes to criminal justice reform. Where is the evidence? Where are the facts?
Well, again, we can't go in the wrong direction, and the wrong direction would be subscribing to the lunatic Me Too movement who wants to believe every accuser. Roland, should we believe the accuser in the case of Tom Robinson and To Kill a Mockingbird? After all, she had at least one witness, which is more than Christine Blasey Ford had. Are we going to believe the accuser in the Emmett Till case? Because 2 white Democrats did believe her and murdered the teenager and threw him in the river.
Vernon, got a question for you. Vernon, got a question for you.
Not going in the right direction.
Speaking of going in the right direction, Vernon, do you support Donald Trump?
I do.
Did Donald Trump take out an ad in the New York newspapers saying that the men involved in the Central Park Five should be given the death penalty for what took place? Did he do that, yes or no?
Well, I'll take your word for it. I
No.
don't know.
It's actually,
whether he did or not.
it's very easy. He did take the ad out. Second of all, all 5 of them were exonerated, where someone else admitted to the crime. They tested DNA. In 2015 and 16, when Donald Trump, the guy you voted for, was asked whether or not that he will issue an apology, he not only did he say no, he also said that he believed that those young men, black and brown, were indeed guilty of that crime. To this day, the guy you voted for has refused to apologize to those black and brown men who were falsely in prison, who were exonerated, who got a $40 million payout from taxpayers as a result. So Donald Trump, that's what he did.
Sometimes individuals who get really tough on one side fail to apologize when they should. Certainly the 81 of 82 Duke faculty members who denounced the lacrosse players who were innocent and the prosecutor who prosecuted them was removed from office. They should have apologized as well.
But Vernon, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. Vernon, 1 second. You didn't answer my question. Vernon, 1 second. You said we should not.
I voted for him. And
Vernon, 1 second. You said we should not go backwards. We should go forward. The man you voted for believes that the 5 innocent black and brown men who went to prison for the Central Park 5, he believes that they are still guilty. And so how can you say we should go forward when the man you voted for won't even acknowledge that he was wrong by calling for them to get the death penalty?
Well, first of all, when I was a city councilman, I was vice chairman of public safety, and the worst day of my 8 years in office was when I sat through a hearing, and it was obvious in the hearing that the police and or the district attorney's office had suppressed exculpatory evidence, and a black man went to jail for 19 years. And so I believe we should move forward with criminal justice reform.
Well, hold on, Vernon. Actually, Vernon, you're wrong, because in your ads, you are making the claim that Republicans will be leading the fight for criminal justice reform, protecting black men who are falsely accused. So, one second.
If you subscribe to the lunatic left fringe and the Me Too movement, you'll be going in the wrong direction.
That's not what you said. No, that is not. That is not what your ad said. That is not what your ad said. You tried to go back and say, oh, no, we can't have our black men, if a white woman accuse them, then they're going to get lynched. First of all, you had these 2 black, I don't know where you found these 2 black women who sound like.
Those black women sound like millions of black women across this country.
No, they sound like a caricature. But here's the question, Vernon. Here's the question.
Millions of people speak that way.
Here's the question, Vernon.
And you're wrong.
Vernon, here's the question. Here's the question, Vernon. Here's the question. Do you support Jeff Sessions?
No, I want to get rid of Jeff Sessions because he won't prosecute the criminals in the Obama administration.
Okay, hold on.
When I had a top secret clearance, So, if I had one of those emails that she had top secret clearance on, I'd still be in Leavenworth.
So Vernon, you don't support
top secret clearance what she did.
So Vernon, you don't support Jeff Sessions because he won't prosecute them. But do you support Jeff Sessions, who told that all his U.S. attorneys to go after the highest maximum penalty, which was a reversal of what Eric Holder said, we should not be trying to imprison folks? Do you agree with Jeff Sessions, who believed that you should criminalize marijuana? Do you believe with Jeff Sessions, who said we should go back to going to private prisons? Do you believe Jeff Sessions, who has been fighting criminal justice reform, fighting Jared Kushner against prison reform? Do you agree with all of that? Because your guy, Donald Trump, hired Jeff Sessions. So clearly, he hired the guy who he agrees with about imprisoning more people, including black and brown people.
Well, there was so much there, I'm not sure where to start.
You damn right there's so much there.
But the bottom line is that your listeners can hear the ads at blackamericans.maga.org so they can make their own opinions, or they can tune into WFUN in morning and evening drive to hear the ads.
Actually, Vernon, I was told
that we were going to talk about my ads and that I wouldn't have to defend stuff that's happening in Tennessee and Georgia and Florida and all over the place.
Vernon,
you're going all over the place, Roland.
Vernon, no, I'm not. We're discussing your trash ad. And what we're discussing is the fact that
my ad's great.
Actually, in your ad, in your first, if it's so great,
remember,
if it's so great, if your ad is so great,
90% of the black vote, he's going down.
If your ad is so great, why did Congressman French Hill denounce your ad? Why did the Arkansas Republican chair denounce your ad?
Because it makes them uncomfortable. Because somebody sent out a memo that Republicans should never talk about rape or about Blasey Ford or about the Me Too movement. So if the Republicans would fight the lunatic leftists who are burning the country down and breaking windows and assaulting Republicans as opposed to attacking other conservatives, they'd be in better shape.
So
the
Vernon
congressman has to run his race, and I have an obligation to make sure that on the issues of life, where Democrats want to kill black babies and Republicans want to save them, on the issue of school choice, where Democrats in the South are standing in the schoolhouse door of educational opportunity, and Republicans want to provide school choice and get black boys out of the failing union schools. And with regard to jobs, where there are so many jobs now, there aren't enough people to fill them.
So Vernon,
this is a definite change from the previous administration's horrible record. So Vernon,
my
obligation is to put that information before the voters in Kansas City and
hold on, Vernon.
Not defend all this stuff that you're talking about.
Hold on, Vernon. First of all, you just told me to focus on the ad. Your ad don't mention none of the stuff you just said. So your ad don't. Vernon, your ad says nothing. Vernon. Okay, Vernon. Since you
is running right now.
Okay,
so
Vernon.
You're wrong.
Okay, Vernon. Okay, Vernon. Since you want to talk about the economy and black people, okay, tell me this: why does your guy Donald Trump want to completely eliminate the U.S. Minority Supplier Development Council, the only federal agency that is designed to provide opportunities for African Americans and people of color to be able to grow their businesses? You explain to me why your guy wants to completely wipe it out.
Probably because it's a failure, like most government agencies. The bottom line is that black businesses have expanded. That after a 12-year decline in black home ownership, home ownership has turned up.
That's a lie. Vernon,
that's not true.
Vernon, that's a lie. Black Vernon.
The housing associations, and you will see that in the last month of the Obama administration, and it fell 4 years in Bush's administration too, but in the last month it bottomed out and it's gone up.
Vernon,
black home ownership.
Vernon, let me help you out. First of all, Vernon, you're talking to somebody who specialized in housing at the Austin American-Statesman, somebody who specialized in housing at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. You're talking to somebody who just 3 weeks ago, Vernon, you're lying. Black home ownership is under 42%. The previous high, the highest point, was at 60.4% under President Bill Clinton. Vernon, let me help you. Vernon, 7 years ago, we had 1.9 million black-owned businesses in America. Now we have 2.6 million. That number has been growing since 7 years ago. But here's the problem, Vernon. 7 years ago, when we had 1.9 million black-owned businesses, they were averaging $110,000 in annual revenue. Now that we have 700,000 more black-owned businesses, they're now averaging $54,000 in revenue. And so while you're touting an increase in black-owned businesses, their annual revenue has been cut in half. That's an absolute fact. But Vernon, I'm going to ask you this question, Vernon. I'm going to ask you this question.
What's happening with their family, and their family incomes are going up.
Vernon.
And all it takes is 15% of voters to vote for Josh Hawley.
Vernon, you're lying. Vernon, you're lying. Vernon, you're lying.
That's not a lie. Go ask Claire if she wants to only get 85%.
Vernon, here's my question, Vernon. Again, I want you to explain this to me then. Since you say Republicans are so much behind criminal justice reform, why is it that Bob Goodlatte, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, won't even schedule hearings on that very issue?
The president's talking to House and Senate leadership, trying to get them to move forward with criminal justice. But again,
that's not
I know
true.
you don't want to talk about Planned Parenthood killing black babies because you have no defense.
Oh, hold up, Vernon. I am more than happy. Vernon, I am more than happy to talk about that. But please show me where all you pro-lifers are when a black man is gunned down by the cops. Do y'all only care about black bodies when they are a fetus, or do you care about them when they are walking around neighborhoods?
Well, the Republicans care about black babies when they're babies, when they get born.
Really?
Crisis pregnancy centers help out and take care of babies, both black and white.
Vernon?
When they go to school, we try to get them out of the union-run schools that don't teach them how to read, write, and add.
Oh, Vernon.
And in fact, hand out condoms instead of backing up their family's values.
Vernon, who wants to cut? Vernon, which party wants to cut Head Start?
Head Start does not work.
Which party wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act?
Again,
which party does not want to provide? Which party?
Get rid of the Affordable Care Act because the people who created it lied. They said you could keep your doctor if you wanted to. They said that your costs would go down. The costs have skyrocketed, and you can't keep your doctor because.
Vernon, got a question for you. Got a question for you, Vernon.
The deductibles are too high.
I got a question for you, Vernon. Which party? Hold up, Vernon. Vernon, which party wants to cut? Vernon, which party wants to cut money that goes to poor women with prenatal health care?
The party that wants to give those women the right to choose a school is the Republican Party, and the union-run Democratic Party opposes them being able to.
Vernon, what is the infant mortality? Vernon, what is the infant mortality rate for black women in America compared to white women?
You don't know. It's sky high.
Say it again.
It is high.
Keep going. How high is it, Vernon?
It's high, but
how high?
You know,
is it one? Is it? Hold up, Vernon. Is it 1 times high? Is it double or is it triple?
That's going to improve because you're going to end up, if we follow your example, with single-payer health care plan, and black folks will really be in bad shape. The only folks who will be able to get any health care then will be rich folks.
So Vernon, correct me if I'm wrong. So if you say Republicans really care about black babies, please show me the evidence where Republicans who control the House, who control the Senate, who control the White House. One second. Hold up, 1 second. 1 second, Vernon. Show me the evidence, the bill, the law, where Republicans have passed a bill or a law that says we are going to directly address the prenatal care and the high infant mortality rate. If you say they care about black babies, show me the evidence where they've done it with controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House. I'll wait.
The first thing you have to do with black babies is not kill them with your friends and
See, here we go. See, you can't even, Vernon, the evidence is right here. 3 times as high infant mortality rate in a number of places in the country. So if you say y'all care about these black babies, please show me. Here's the other piece. If you care about life, Vernon, why are Republicans so ardently supporting of the death penalty?
Well, actually, my views on the death penalty have slightly changed.
What are they?
I mean, this is not the view. I believe there are some people who should be executed. The problem, however,
but I thought you pro-life.
Is that in some cases the criminal justice system is a monster. Well, pro-life means you're concerned about innocent death. So that means I am concerned about not executing people who are not guilty.
Hold up. I've never seen a bumper sticker. I've never seen a bumper sticker say, I'm pro-life, only innocent life. I heard pro-life is I'm pro-life.
Everybody who's in the pro-life movement wants to defend innocent life from conception to natural death, which means we don't let people who benefit from the will kill elderly people in euthanasia laws like the one that was passed in Oregon. It means that we take care of babies. It means that we don't want people who are not guilty to be executed, but we sure as heck want people who are guilty to be executed. Hold on,
Vernon.
Why you want to save the murderers and you want to execute the babies.
And Vernon, I'm sure glad you said that, because wasn't it the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who actually wrote in one of his legal opinions that even if somebody was innocent, if they had already gone through the appeals process and had not introduced the evidence in an earlier phase, it did not matter. He essentially said that even though we later found out that there's evidence that the person was innocent of the crime, it don't matter because you know what? The procedures were all followed. Wasn't he one of your favorites?
Antonin Scalia is one of my favorites.
But hold up, I thought you said the innocent should not be in jail, and he actually wrote that the innocent, even if they have gone through the proper process and they introduce evidence at the wrong time, we shouldn't even consider it. And they should just go ahead and just like, hey, guess what? Too late. That was your guy.
Well, again, innocent people should not be executed.
Well, really? Hold up, really?
Should be executed for certain crimes. And again, you know,
should innocent people be in jail?
That the enthusiasm you have to make sure that innocent people accused of crimes are not put in jail when they're not guilty or executed when they're not guilty was shared with the babies who are killed every day in St. Louis. Overwhelmingly black babies, 3 times more likely than white babies to be killed by abortion because all of the babies are innocent.
Vernon, please show me. I'm still waiting for you to show me the bill. Republicans say that we're going to throw billions to prenatal care. We're going to throw billions to opening health centers to make sure that folks who actually are having children, the baby will be healthy in the fetus and also when they come out. But also, please show me the evidence where you also, where your party is support. Well, hold on, Vernon, here's the other piece. Vernon, why are the people you supporting want to cut the farm bill, and when it comes to SNAP, when you have literally millions of children who are starving, but y'all want to cut the budget.
The farm bill is a big subsidy for
okay, I got you. Okay. It's amazing how there's always an excuse when it's time to deal with the children or when y'all are in power.
What's your excuse for the teachers union and the Democratic Party standing in the schoolhouse door?
Hold up, Vernon. See, Vernon, here's the problem, Vernon. This is what happens when you are not a smart black man. You are talking to a man who created. Vernon, 1 second. Vernon, let me help you out, Vernon. Vernon, because you didn't do your Vernon, because you didn't use Google, Vernon. Vernon, because you didn't use Google. Because you didn't use Google. Vernon, you're talking to a black man who created the initiative called School Choice is the Black Choice. You're talking to a black man who went to magnet schools. You're talking to a black man who's going to be in Indianapolis on December 2nd dealing with school choice. No. See, Vernon, that's the mistake. That's the mistake you make, Vernon. Vernon, you keep saying my party. Vernon, I don't have a party. My party is black people. My party is when I go see black people. And when I see a black man who is running an ad that's full of lies. When a black man is running an ad that's full of lies and you can't even show me evidence of criminal justice reform, easy. Republicans are not leading on criminal justice reform. That is a lie.
Republicans are trying to keep the presumption of innocence to be changed to presumption of guilt.
Vernon, I have a question. How much money? So weren't you also raising money for the Ben Carson campaign?
I was the national director of the draft Ben Carson committee, and we raised $18 million.
And how much y'all spent?
38,000 donors, 38,000 volunteers who did 900 events in 21 months, and we got only the second conservative grassroots candidate to run for president in American history.
So isn't this your black Republican, your president's agenda? Isn't this really a financial scam to raise money?
Well, if it was, then you could breathe easily because
I'm just asking.
Claire McCaskill is going to go down in about 14 days.
I'm just asking. I mean, other Republicans, other black Republicans even say
what happens if 15% of black folks in the South and 20% of black folks in the Midwest support the president.
Vernon, are you a registered Republican?
Campaign, and the answer is,
Vernon, are you a registered Republican?
You guys put up for a Democratic nominee, that individual will be defeated.
Vernon, are you a registered Republican? Are you actually
saving from the lunatic fringe, which used to be a legitimate party?
Vernon, are you an actual Republican? Are you registered Republican?
No, I'm not.
So you're not. So what are you?
I'm a member of the Constitution Party.
Oh, the Constitution Party.
The lunatic right fringe.
But you are raising the money for the Republicans. So isn't this really a check game for you?
I'm concerned about the direction of the country. I'm concerned about Republicans being assaulted, beaten, one congressman shot, another congressman, one senator assaulted at his home, people burning things, essentially the black community in the final analysis is going to vote for jobs, not mobs.
Really? Well, guess what? When you please show me where Donald Trump is not going to whack the budget of the Minority Supply Development Agency, when you actually show me where they're actually unbundling a lot of these large contracts to allow black folks to compete for these smaller contracts, when you please show me that black agenda, which I have yet to see, then we can have that conversation. But, all right, Vernon, I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the invitation.
Okay, well, just do one thing. Stop lying in those ads. I appreciate it.
Me on after Claire loses in 14 days.
Just stop lying in those ads, Vernon. Let's go to our panel right now. So, Eugene, so you hear he's not a Republican.
Listen, I've interacted with Vernon. Vernon's the guy that calls you looking for a candidate he can, raise money and scam donors off of. As he said right there, he's not a Republican. He left the party early in the year, but he's still out here scamming donors and spending money on lying ads. I mean, you want to tell me that Hawley cares about black people? Show me. He's AG for the state of Missouri, right? Show me the reforms that he's backed when it comes to policing in the wake of Ferguson. French Hill. Show me where French Hill is co-sponsored, either the Goodlatte bill or the Grassley bill. Show me where French Hill is a co-sponsor on the Conyers Sensenbrenner Voting Rights Act bill. And so, Vernon is the worst type of black Republican. We got some opportunists. I can drop some names every now and then. But we got some opportunists. But he's the worst of the worst because he's the type that, like Raynard Jackson and some others, that can go and grab a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million, and F up the name for everybody. So he as he said, he's not a black Republican, but he needs to stop posing as one.
Again, when you hear those ads, these Democrats go take you back to when black men were being lynched and a white woman go accuse our black men of raping them. Gang recognized, gang.
It was just, that whole interview was just so unfortunate because he also, it's one thing if you're in a particular position, but I don't even think he knows what the Minority Supply Council is.
He doesn't.
He absolutely does not.
The guy's run for Congress multiple times. He does it. Like his entire scam is, hey, I'm going to either start a PAC or follow a candidacy or support a candidate, and then just literally pump and dump. I'm going to grab cash, send out a bunch of mailers, hire some people to do phone fundraising, come back, grab the cash, take my cut off the top, pour it back in. I mean, he didn't say what the impact of the whole
file it? Does he do his FTC file?
Yeah, they file.
But the thing is, he's one more time, he's the worst type because he says, I really don't give a F. I'm just going to do it regardless and just show you what I'm doing, and you can go look at the paperwork and it's all legit and whatnot. But he's literally, we talk about, swamp, like that's the type of folk you need to go after. That's the type of folk that, talk about a Sessions DOJ wants to deal with public corruption. That's who you need to deal with. I mean, he's somebody that's literally abusing FEC laws to just enrich himself. It's crazy. It's maddening. It's sickening.
Avis, go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you. It was painful to watch this. Like he's living in some alternate universe. And what's really disturbing is, frankly, that ad was insulting. Yeah. I mean, when you listen to that ad, it's absolutely insulting. To think that he would put that out there, push that on the black radio stations, as if black people don't have the critical thinking skills to look through and see the ridiculousness that he's pushing out there. Clearly, as you mentioned, he's looking to sort of line his own pockets because no one with any amount of experience in this nation would know that the stuff that he's pushing through at all comports with reality in terms of the real challenges that we're facing today as black people, both in Arkansas and in Missouri.
Hey, all I'm saying is I try to give a brother a shot. But see, again, though, this is my issue with people like Vernon, people like Candace Owens,
Raynard Jackson,
who tweeted out, black business startups are up 400%. It's a flat-out lie. PolitiFact has laid out that that's an absolute lie, and that's the game they keep playing. Yeah. Because, again, most folks don't do research, and they go, ooh, see that, black business is up 400%. It's a lie. It's a 100% lie. And what they do is they go on Fox News where there's no pushback. They go other places and they lie.
Yep.
And it's like even right now, Candace and her little group are having some of the black conservative leadership forum this week in D.C. My folks have been trying to get us a media credential. They ain't responding. Wonder why? Wonder why? Because they don't want to be held accountable. They are lying. And here's the deal. If Republicans actually had an agenda, I'll be like, cool.
Just wait until you see the photo op of them at the White House for the reception of President's hosting for them.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
He loves photo ops.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's going to be. All right, folks. Let's talk about registration deadlines. October 22nd. Here we go. Alabama, California, South Dakota. Those are the deadlines. October 26th, Nebraska. October 29th, Washington State. October 30th, Utah and Connecticut. So remember, those are the actual deadlines. Now, remember, we started the show with a tweet from the Orange One. Let's end this segment with a tweet from someone who knows what he's talking about when it comes to voting, Congressman John Lewis. This is what he actually tweeted, quote, "I have been beaten, my skull fractured, and arrested more than 40 times so that each and every person has the right to register and vote. Friends of mine gave their lives. Do your part. Get out there and vote like you've never voted before." All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about a scandal at Fort Valley State. Man, talk about unbelievable. AKA pimping out her own sorority sisters. We have the details next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I'm black and I'm voting.
I'm black and I'm voting.
I'm voting for the world I want to see.
I'm voting for safe and affordable housing.
I'm voting for better schools for my children.
I'm voting for streets free from police violence.
I am voting for candidates who respect women.
I'm voting for health care that I can afford.
I'm voting for equal pay for equal work.
I'm voting for her.
I'm voting for us.
I'm black and I'm voting. What are you voting for?
All right, folks, a big scandal at Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia. Prosecutors have issued 7 arrest warrants in a pimping investigation. Warrants were issued Tuesday for 47-year-old Ernest Harvey, 56-year-old Kenneth Howard, 35-year-old Ryan Jenkins, 57-year-old Charles Jones, 26-year-old Devontae Little, and 46-year-old Arthur James Nance. Now, each are charged with pandering and solicitation of sodomy stemming from conduct alleged to have taken place 2007 and 2018. Now, here's the deal, okay? Jones was the chief legal counsel for Fort Valley State. He was terminated months ago. But this is where this whole thing started. Former Fort Valley State University executive assistant to the president, Alicia Janetta Johnson, 48 years old, charged with 6 counts of pimping on allegations she arranged to provide a prostitute to the 6 men. Here's how this whole thing started. She's an AKA. It was the AKAs who told the university and the cops, because they heard these allegations, that she was pimping out sorority members who couldn't pay their dues. Yo, this thing is crazy. And that's how the Georgia Bureau of Investigation got involved, leading to this. Now, her attorney says she's not a madam, she's not a pimp. These things are not true at all. But prosecutors say she was the ringleader in pimping out her own sorority sisters to these men. And so we'll be following this case as well, giving you more of those details as they become available. Now we have, of course, our weekly occurrence of crazy white women. I don't understand what's up with these white women today. Are they losing their mind, okay? A brother was gardening, y'all, minding his own business. And it makes no sense. The fact I'm even thinking about this story is crazy. So check this out. 3 white women, y'all, saw this brother gardening. And they kept calling the cops on Mark Peoples of Detroit for making a garden out of a vacant playground in the neighborhood. Now, it's right across the street from where one of the white women lived. Officers wouldn't respond to calls of illegal gardening. So these fools took it to a whole new level and accused him of threatening them with a gun. Then they accused him of being a part of a drive-by. Then they said the brother was a pedophile. Joining us via Skype, we have the troubled gardener, Mark Peoples, and his lawyer, Robert Burton Harris. Mark, what dog? What were you planting?
Man, I just had a regular small urban farm, with vegetables and your basic urban farm.
Kale.
Man. Yeah, kale, spinach, tomatoes, peppers.
You sure you were not, planting something they were smoking? Because this is crazy.
Man, tell me about it. It's still unbelievable that I had to go all the way to trial and go to court, you know what I mean, and fight this case. Like, it's still unreal, all this attention that is garnering, it's still like, wow,
So this thing actually went to court?
Yeah, I had to go all the way to trial. A jury was picked and everything. The prosecution gave their opening statement and, did their case, and then basically my attorney rested, and we filed a motion for a directed verdict and was granted that from the judge.
Before we actually rested.
Before we even rested.
Okay, wait, hold up. You mean to tell me that prosecutors actually believed this woman and took it to court?
Well, I don't know if they believed him or not, but we certainly weren't able to get this case dismissed before we had to select a jury and proceed with the trial.
So this is where I'm just totally confused here. I'm totally confused here. So they constantly called the cops. The cops wouldn't come by and would come out. And so they just kept turning it up and turning it up. Were these old white women, middle-aged white women? I mean, what's the deal? Did y'all ever have a run-in, Mark? What's the deal?
I mean, no, at first, when I first put the garden out, they actually, were coming about, like they were interested in it. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to be a part of it. And then I guess once I, I painted a tree red, black, and green. Once I painted the tree red, black, and green, and painted those colors and started,
Oh, that's what set the white women off.
Yeah. No, during testimony they explicitly multiple times said that red, black, and green was associated with gang colors, and asked how they knew this. They really didn't have an answer, but for some reason, the knowledge divined in their head, and they insisted that was the case.
So I got to ask you, man, are y'all gonna sue them? I mean, because you had to spend money. I mean, this has impacted your life. What they did was just flat out lying.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a matter of figuring out what specific claims to bring. But there will be a civil suit filed very soon.
Yeah, they definitely put a hold to programs, and a lot of the community work that I do is focused in the area that I grew up in. And that's what I was out there doing when I was actually arrested. I was out there teaching students that I had contracted with the homeschool initiative and a homeschool co-op here in Detroit. And I was actually teaching the children, and I was signed up to be the agriculture teacher. And then they were out there and witnessed the police pulling up, saying that, asking if I was a pedophile, if I had a CSC charge in my background, and things of that nature. I actually didn't know about the gun thing until we went to trial, and so I saw the video.
And the police reports.
Oh, man. Well, look, Mark, just like all these other cases, man, I hate that you have to go through this nonsense. Again, I don't know what in the hell is in the water with these white women who are just losing their minds, whether they're telling the 9-year-old boys that he groped her, or whether the kid's selling lemonade, or, the white woman wouldn't let the brother in St. Louis in his own apartment. I mean, these people are just truly losing their damn minds. And so glad it did not escalate. And I say take them to the cleaners, get as much as you can, bro.
That's the plan.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, after that, I need a break. After that, I need a drink. We'll be back in Roland Martin Unfiltered in a moment.
Look at me. I am black. I am beautiful. Educator Mary McLeod Bethune.
All right, folks, y'all see, of course, I'm rocking Virginia State University. When I did the commencement of the university, the president, sorry, Michael, you have to deal with it, gave me this jacket. And so I said, we're going to represent Virginia State today, of course, founded in 1882. Virginia State was the first fully supported 4-year institution for African Americans in the United States, and is one of 2 land-grant colleges in the state of Virginia. If you want to support them, please go to www.vsu.edu And again, if you are a graduate, be sure to write a check. Write a check, give back to your university. Avis, you write a check every year?
Absolutely. In fact, along with my sorors, we just donated $25,000 to the endowment over homecoming weekend.
All right, brother, checking.
We are checking.
Brother, checking. Checking. All right, y'all. So again, support Virginia State, vsu.edu. And so, Mr. President, what up, frat? All right, folks. We've been, of course, it's all kind of ads out there, all kind of PSA ads, and you name it, where they're trying to get people to actually vote. And so Roy Wood Jr., the comedian, radio host, but also who's on Trevor Noah's Comedy Central. Lord have mercy. Have y'all seen this PSA? Malcolm Lee, of course, put this thing together. So check this out.
Look at this filter. Oh, that's so good. Oh, look at this.
Excuse me. Have y'all made plans to vote in November?
No.
911? I'd like to report an emergency in the park. It's 3 white women just taking selfies. Triple selfie in progress. They're using filters, emojis, the same picture over and over again, wearing pajamas. And they literally have no plans of voting in November.
Excuse me? That's not illegal.
Please hurry. I can smell the avocado toast.
Look, if we gonna call on some white women, might as well call because they ain't gonna vote.
Absolutely.
That was good. That's clever. That's good. And that's the kind. Those are the kind of ads that obviously get folks involved. But our community, these suppression tactics, bad ads like that thing with your boy Vernon, have been going on for years and decades, and they're going to continue to go on. Absolutely. We as a community have to be able to overcome that, understand the issues, and still vote. We can't let that kind of stuff keep us at home.
Well, the quote. So check this out. So remember, I always talk about North Carolina, where, of course, the federal court struck down their voter ID and said they were absolutely targeting black people. What's interesting is that there were several stories that were done on that, and where there were Republicans who said, "Look, the only reason they doing this is because they voting Democrat. If these black people were voting Republican, they wouldn't be doing it." Right. So here's what was funny in this. So basically, later in the video, Noah says, "Look, if black people vote Republican, they wouldn't be doing any of this." And it's sort of like what black people always say, okay, you want to get rid of guns in America? If all black people start buying guns, they will outlaw guns in a heartbeat.
Yeah. That's the truth. I mean, you ever look at, I say this all the time, even in Maryland. You go to Eastern Shore, go to Western Maryland, see how they talk about guns. You go to Baltimore City, see how they talk about guns. Completely different narrative, completely different story.
Absolutely. I mean, historically, we know what happened when you had the Black Panther Party, for example, just being able to patrol their neighborhoods and try to protect their neighborhoods. All of a sudden, you had Republicans at that time who were the main ones talking about gun restrictions. So, exactly. So, yeah, we know that's historic fact. And obviously, from what we know what happens today, that would absolutely occur again.
And I know you hear it all the time, Roland, but your show is so good because folks don't see this stuff. They don't know about this. How would they know this? How would they know about Vernon? How would they know about these ads and where they come from?
I mean, they hear the ad.
Correct.
But no, you need to hear the fool behind the ad.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And listen to that nonsense. And the fact that he was a city councilman in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And again, and out with the nonsense. But again, this is the game that is being played. And look, I've said this for years. I've said for years, if Republicans had any brains whatsoever, and they actually presented a cogent agenda that actually spoke to the needs of black people would listen to them.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that.
No.
Sorry, my dear.
No,
they
I mean,
want to do that. They don't.
They don't even listen to black Republicans.
No, they don't. That's true.
They don't listen to black Republicans.
Because they're black people. So they don't want to listen to y'all either. But the reality is they have apparently made the strategic decision, particularly under this administration, to just sort of focus like a laser on the white population. When you have someone who cannot even say that Nazis, that KKK members are, deplorable people.
Well, he's not they're good people.
Exactly.
Good people.
Exactly. He can't. Exactly. They are perfectly fine people. And so you have a specific strategy here to really exclude communities of color and really only preserve the franchise for white people. They have no desire to try and to pull in the interest of other people. No. They just want to codify white supremacy.
When David Duke is giving you props on Twitter all the time, that should know there's a problem.
Wait a minute, hold on. And now the Proud Boys. Now all of a sudden, now this new group, the Proud Boys, and Republicans have no problem embracing them. And that's what you're seeing. And again, also, when you keep making room for bigot after bigot after bigot, you got to ask yourself, hold up, why are the racists all just attracted to us?
Right.
Or take it a step further, when Joe Walsh is giving you the stink eye, you got that shit.
Right, now you're right, because we know, you know he like to the right of Kanye. And when even he say y'all have gone too far, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. So, look, y'all, we have literally 2 weeks before Election Day. Early voting is starting in various places. Registration deadlines are coming up. Most of them have actually passed. The reality is, voters shut the hell up. And you saw my interview with Jason Whitlock on Thursday, and where he said, oh, I believe all the politicians are corrupt. I just don't believe all of them. Let me tell y'all something right now. Bottom line, this is just real simple. There's no part of your life that is not impacted by voting. None. Environment, housing, street lights, sewer systems, your park, even, again, basic things such as codes violations when it comes to your yards, when it comes to abandoned houses. We live in a society where government controls many aspects of our lives. Now, all these people who talk about less government and small government and no government, they're lying. Because you know what happens? When a hurricane hit their damn house,
Right.
they holler, oh, Lord, where the government? When that tornadoes that flatten neighborhoods, trust me, they looking for government. And then when you really need help, you're calling government. Let's just stop the games here. But the bottom line is here. We got some black people out there who say, I don't see it. But guess what? If you really don't want to see stuff happen, don't vote. Because the bottom line is we have the ability to change our neighborhoods, change our communities, but not just with voting, but us staying involved after the election. And that's the difference between communities where they change and communities where they don't change. And so you're hearing lots of stuff. Look at who's running top to bottom. Don't ignore DA's races. Don't ignore judges. Don't ignore any of these major races because every single one of them matters. You can't say I'm concerned about criminal justice reform, but I don't care about who's DA because that's the most important person when it comes to the whole criminal justice reform issue. So we want you to do that as well. We also want you, of course, folks, to support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Look, we do this 5 days a week. We travel around the country. We were at Taste of Soul on Saturday in LA. We'll have some of those interviews for the rest of this week. We had the Freedom Award last week for the National Civil Rights Museum. We'll have some of those interviews for you as well. Bottom line is, there is no show like this. Black cable networks, non-existent. Not even the daily, not even a weekly show. Okay? Not even digital shows. We're the only ones doing this type of show, so we need your support. Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. My goal is simple. We want 20,000 of our fans to contribute a minimum of $50 each for the whole year. You can give by Square, you can give by PayPal, you can give by check, whatever else. It's all on the website at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We're here for you. I said earlier, my political party is black people. We're here to speak to your interests and your issues and allow you to have a voice because at the end of the day, it ain't happening on cable news, even with black hosts. This is about us, talking to us, about us, educating us. So go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, I got to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have more great stuff lined up for you as well. And then we'll see if Vernon has found any evidence of the things that I laid out in that 20-minute interview. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Virginia State, hope y'all see me rocking your jacket. Holla at y'all later. Holla!